Hello, we're live in Kamloops at CFBX campus radio station for Thompson Rivers University, 92.5 FM, the X, with Christopher Weddle, the station manager. Made that super awkward.
Yeah.
The station manager, correct?
Yes, I am.
Here at CFBX, and we're gonna talk about radio and stuff.
Cool.
So we're gonna get you to bring the mic a little closer to you.
Yeah.
Or you can bring your face closer to the floor.
Whichever, as long as we reduce this distance.
Yeah. Number of options.
Thanks so much for having us today.
Oh, my pleasure. It's great that we could do this.
Yeah.
Talk a bit about what's happening in campus radio.
Yeah. So I guess to start with, it's my understanding that campus radio is unique to sort of traditional commercial radio. Would you say that's accurate?
It's very accurate. I think there's a long and noble tradition of a kind of a connection to alternative culture, to alternative music, and also alternative causes.
Right, okay.
Activism of a kind. So we have people here that host programs that are interested in a range of...
You want to be on TV?
And there's Steve, our program manager.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Yeah. So I think it's a really fascinating and exciting field because people are really passionate about the music they want to share with the public, and also passionate about the ideas that get shared here at campus radio.
So when you talk about people being passionate about sharing their music, what do you mean by that?
I mean that
Music they make or music that they enjoy?
Music they want to share with the world. Musicians that will come here and play live in the studio.
Ooh.
We have programmers that are wild about a particular genre. We have a fellow that follows my show on Friday afternoons who plays nothing but Nigerian hip hop and EDM. And where else are you going to hear that?
Right.
Anywhere in this town.
Outside of Nigeria, yeah.
Yeah, outside of Nigeria. Yeah. So it's a wonderful, just a kind of lightning rod for people just come here to share music that is dear to them, and with kind of a new audience. And so we have international students, new Canadians that are tuning in to hear a show like that. They can't, they're not going to hear that music away from home.
So it's all diverse. There's a huge spectrum of different genres of
that way.
music.
That when I came on board in August, that was something that I was very determined to increase, just the inclusivity of welcoming as many different people through the doors to
Right.
Steve welcoming people to create programs that appeal to underserved communities in town. So that was something that I was determined to do, and that coupled with reaching out to the community, talking to the different communities.
Right. Getting their perspective and what they like. You got to understand your demographic.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're not just, if looking at theater as an example, we're not just talking to WCT. We're going across the bridge and looking, attending a night of the Freudian Slips and interviewing the people that are making that happen, or
nice.
Chimera. So it's really looking at communities and artists that we don't hear enough about. In mainstream Kamloops media. And
it's all very driven by the individual program hosts.
It is. The hosts really, their shows can be anything they want. And it's really exciting to watch how the new programmers' shows develop and mature and become, these really unique expressions of the people that they're trying to reach in the community, because it's less about the personality, and a lot of the programmers find that they're really finding creating dialogue with different communities, and it's really about their listeners and finding what their listeners are going to be most passionate about. Yeah.
So from there, it sounds like anybody could potentially just reach out and say, "Hey, I want to have a show." Is that
Yeah, we have a young fellow here at 13 who
Oh my God.
has a storytelling program on Saturday mornings. We have, veteran programmers who have been here for 25 years. Yeah, so it's there's a real range of interests and people here.
Would you?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask how many people work here. We have a few people walking in, so.
Yeah, we're moving towards about between 95 and 100 volunteers.
Oh, wow.
Some people spend more time here, volunteer here more than others, but that's about the number that move in and out of the space in the week. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it is quite a lot.
And that 95 wouldn't just be program hosts.
No, it would be people that are interested in, helping out with the music library downstairs, or helping out with our record fair this weekend. That people that volunteer in different ways. The majority of people that come in the door are interested in having a program in radio and building their own show, but not all. There's a good 25% that just want to be around, be inside a radio station, be inside a studio. Particularly, a place like this, it's where things are a little kind of chaotic, crazy.
Right.
I like it, though. It's
Yeah.
messy is good. It means you're smart.
Well, that's what we like to think. Yeah. So we'll throw a few more things on the floor.
It's a bit of a chaos of records all over the place right now, I guess, in anticipation for the record sale.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about that. You just said it's this weekend.
Well, it's something that the station's been doing for, I think, between about 25 years.
Yeah.
It's an event that there are vendors who do this all across the country, who come to us from Alberta, come to us from Vancouver. We have a fellow driving up from Vernon who will fill 4 tables with either merchandise related to music or rare vinyl or CDs. And then there's a particular kind of person that's attracted to an event like that, who's looking for a rare LP or a find.
Right.
So and this is the only thing that a lot of people donate their time. People come in and make donations to the station at the same time, and and we have our own table, the CFBX, where we sell records that have been and CDs that have been donated to us. So it's a great time to connect with the community, but also to just build interest and make a little bit of money for the society.
Right, so it's a bit of a fundraiser as well.
It is a bit of a fundraiser.
Right, okay. Now, it does seem like in the last, say, decade, there's been a growth in the number of people who are interested in vinyl.
Yes.
I don't know, do you think it's peaked? Or do you think the interest is still growing? Do you have a sense of that at all? And do you think it differs from
a lot of younger people, 20-somethings that are just discovering vinyl now? So I think it's come in waves. I don't anticipate it's going to go away.
Yeah.
I think it has probably peaked, and just the cost of collecting vinyl is prohibitive for a lot of people. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
But I think it will continue to just kind of remain fairly stable. But I don't see it growing greatly over the next few years. I think it's peaked that way. And people, since through COVID, they were spending a lot less money on items like that.
Yeah, not
Rare LPs.
Yeah, making sure that you get your next meal covered before you worry about
That's important.
The first pressing of Dark Side of the Moon or whatever.
Exactly.
So where is the record sale taking place at?
Sahali Mall.
Okay.
The organization there donates the space to us. We're taking over. I think it's an old dollar store, so there's no shortage of floor space. Lots and lots of room. And for $2, people come in, and some people just like to browse. Some people are more, determined to find just that record. So it's a bit of a kind of a treasure hunt for some, and more of a casual event for others.
For sure. And then it's just the Saturday or?
Sunday.
Sunday, sorry.
Sunday from 10 till 4.
Okay, excellent. Getting back to the radio station.
Yes.
Now, is there any capacity that you are necessarily, like, say, are you missing volunteers in any certain specific areas right now, say broadcasters or, helpers in certain areas that, maybe, if you had to say we want to outreach for people in this department, are you looking for anyone like that? Or
That's a really good question. I think an area where we would like to grow is in communicating in those very 21st century ways, online, X, Facebook. So, sharing what we do here and the story of the station with people that are more plugged into the internet. So we have some really gifted people that have come to us through the campus that are really interested in social media and that kind of discourse, and that is something that is really necessary. We really want to modernize our audience outreach modalities, and we need the gifted young people that are interested in that kind of thing, and also interested in good old-fashioned radio.
Yeah, radio is old school.
It is old school, but it's amazing how so many young people are finding it.
Yeah.
And just it's and that's exciting to see.
Yeah.
People get really excited about radio.
Yeah.
in a way, I can see it having that same kind of analog coolness that vinyl does, and even this idea that, like, with a generator, this is a communications platform that could survive more than the internet could.
Yes.
Like a massive outage of the internet is devastating, but, like, you could still get information out as long as you can power this place.
Yeah. Well, it's a very it's a really stable environment. It's a great and it's I don't think it's going away, and I think people you just see going into the studio and seeing all the equipment, just sitting in front of a microphone. I'm thinking that's going out to strangers all across the world, because we stream. We have really interested in our local audience, but we also have listeners that are tuning into Ajibola's Nigerian hip hop show from the continent. So that's exciting too.
Because you have so many international students here, I'm sure it's a great way for exposure.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm learning things all the time.
Yeah.
About with the kind of sharing of ideas, but also sharing of music that people coming in with experiences and predilections, tastes that are new to me. So it's really exciting in that respect to learn from the people that are coming in the door.
Right. Now, speaking of the internet and sort of technology, do you think it's hard for like radio in general, and maybe campus radio specifically, to compete against, say, podcasts or YouTube? Or do you think it's challenging to continue compared to that market?
I think the market is so diverse, and there are so many options for listeners that it is very, very difficult. It's particularly difficult for campus radio, for local radio that is competing with these massive juggernauts that have kind of taken over radio. And also, just getting music out there or art out there that is different, that is off the beaten track, that isn't commercial, is a challenge. But I think it takes passion, and it takes a real interest in diverse forms and diverse kinds of expression. We have people that have the energy and to get behind those strange sounds and strange ideas and share them. So that's exciting.
Yeah. I like how you like strange.
We were all about strange here. But
Good.
I think radio people since Marconi have been Nebuchers, have been nerds, have been a breed apart, and it's really interesting to see how those nerdy qualities have morphed and changed over the years. So it's still nerds, but nerds of a different kind. That have different interests that want to do different things in the radio studio. Yeah.
Well, speaking of nerds, what brought you to Campus Radio?
Yeah, you big nerd.
I am a nerd, and
It's all right. I'm a nerd. I think we're all nerds here.
Yeah.
But I found
No judgment.
I found radio through theater because I'm a Shakespeare nerd. I'm one of the founding members of Bard on the Beach, and I was for 30 years an actor, and one of those weird classical actors. That's what most of my work was done in that with Shakespeare and Moliere and those kinds of forms. So I felt odd. I was an oddball, and then when I came here, I thought, oh, these people are not. They're kind of
much different.
They're kind of different too. They're kind of strange and odd too, and I like them. I'm drawn to their kind of unusual, kind of idiosyncratic
Right.
qualities. Yeah.
I was going to just assume that you had a music background as opposed to an acting background. So did you ever play with instruments or...
That's a good question. I did. I was in this band. I grew up here, so we used to play in the boiler room. We had a band called White Lightning that rehearsed in the boiler room of what was called MacArthur Park back then. And occasionally the janitor would come and sit in with us, and we'd play the odd sock hop. That's what we called them back then. God, I'm aging myself. But then I thought, that's really hard. Like, playing classical guitar, playing guitar is really hard. So I think I kind of gravitated towards listening. I became a really
That is easier.
avid listener and really eclectic, like all kinds of music.
What's your
But
favorite genre?
My favorite genre, that's really hard to say. I would say it's outlier stuff, kind of strange and wonderful. I would say something like Jonathan Richman to I love the National. I love good songcraft. I love jazz. I love soul. And I went to see Jeremy Dutcher with the KSO the other night, and I found that it was transcendental, that experience. And here's someone with opera chops who's kind of turning opera and traditional indigenous music on its head.
Oh wow, that sounds
That's
pretty
cool.
cool.
And that to me was, that was again, a distinct concert going experience. But I was just in my element. I just loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does music inspire you? Because for me, I'm not a musician or anything, but music is such a huge part of me because that is what makes my art brain go, it spins so fast when I listen to just certain songs or certain genres. Depends on the mood too.
Yeah. I would say that it definitely inspires me. I'm a writer. I'm a playwright as well, and I find myself often starting with music. Like I'll hear, there's a particular song that yields an idea for, a dialogue or a scene between. But often music to me is what will evoke, it will kind of call up theatrical images.
Right. Oh man, was it Daniela
Ophie.
Ophie?
Yes.
Yeah, you know her?
I do. Yes.
Oh, did you see her? I'm forgetting.
The score that she
Yes,
did
the
for,
Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah.
That's the first time I hadn't met her until I went to see that event, and I was so impressed.
Yes.
And then when I interviewed her, I found out we had some common interests. Like we've been listening to the same kind of sound walk musician, woman named Hildegard Westerkamp. And I've been listening to her in my 20s, and she was listening to the same, and influenced by this person doing this strange and wonderful electroacoustic stuff, but also sound walks, like saying, okay, let's go and record the park, or let's go down by the train tracks and record. And that's
What
one.
do you mean by that exactly?
I mean that just sound itself, sound, the sounds around us, the music of just sounds we encounter of existence. That's something that Danielle is very, very interested in, and I said, well, I am too. So we're able to. That was a kind of talking point for us. But also, she's an incredibly gifted keyboard player, and she has classical chops, but also she's got a wonderfully strange
we did
musical imagination.
Yeah,
she's very cool.
Yeah.
But you're cool too, so let's talk about you more.
Well, I think like she's often like it. Like we're in the age where we love to get liked. We'll
That's true.
do a stuff on Facebook.
Everything I do is for likes.
Yeah, everything's for likes. And she's
Please like this video.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
I just want money.
She listens to the program and she kind of gets what I'm trying to do. And I have a program called the Newfangled Whistle Test, it's everything and anything. Very eclectic. But and I'll play everything from Japanese kind of speed metal to Wagner or something, and she kind of gets that. She's and but she is very, very open, very generous. Person and just and loves to see people just thinking a little outside of the box here in her hometown.
Oh yeah.
She does seem to be somewhat driven towards experimental art.
Yes,
which I definitely dig.
I want to mention this. I saw it a couple times on the internet, and I don't have the proper I'm not a musician, but I don't. But you could draw sound from mushrooms in the forest and trees, and it sounds so trippy.
Oh, yeah?
Have you heard it?
I don't know if I have.
Have you heard?
Well, I've heard. When I was growing up, the whale song.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Paul Horn, playing his flute in the Taj Mahal. That stuff was. I thought I went to see him at U of T, and I thought, oh, that's great. That we're finding music in places where we don't necessarily think we encounter it.
It's just background noise.
Yeah, and then going out into the forest, like I had in my 20s, had all those relaxation records that had the sounds of the forest along with
gentle waterfalls and
that was as much a part of my listening jam as Iggy Pop or
right.
Yeah.
Huh.
So no, that it was, and it's great to when you meet other people that are kind of tuned into the possibilities of just the sonic environment around.
Yeah. Wow.
When you're listening to music, how much of the music you listen to is like a conscious choice of I'm going to listen to this album or this artist, and how much of it is say like just turning on a radio station and seeing what comes up?
Well, I think the abundance of choices that we have now has changed how we listen to music. That I think when I was a younger person, I was in many ways a more patient listener.
Yeah.
I listened to the first side of an album and then I turned it over and I listened to the second side. Now I'm no different than any other listener in that I find that my attention span is really challenged. And because there's so many choices, I might listen to one track of this and go to another track of this and skip around. So what I'm trying to do now, and I just turned 65, is just to revisit the deep listening that I did as a younger person, so that it's okay to listen to 5 albums as opposed to 25 in a week. That if you're listening, with deeply, you're really allowing yourself to encounter the music in a deep way, and that's something that we have a harder time doing now. Part of it has to do with the abundance of choices, because I think there's every song known to man available. Immediately. We can just Google it and hear it. So backing away from that from that abundance and just saying, okay, what do I need to hear right now, or what what would I like to discover? I mean, that's something that I think would be useful to return to. Just being a little less, voracious in our listening, with our listening appetites.
I think to an extent too that the delivery platforms we have now, especially like the streaming of music, seems to be very geared towards feeding you just individual song after individual song. And it's almost challenging to click through far enough to figure out how to play an album in its entirety.
That's very true. Most of us don't listen to albums anymore. We listen to individual tracks, and we put together, we've kind of reinvented what playlists, and we'll create a list of songs on the platform that we listen to, and listen to them in a sequence. But they're ripped out of the album context.
Yeah, they exist on an album somewhere.
They do.
But I'm sure many of the songs that I've listened to in the last 5 years, I couldn't even tell you the name of an album that they're on.
I think a lot of us are like that.
Yeah.
And there are still bands, there are still musicians who are creating albums that have an arc, that have a that have a theme, and I think try to rediscover that and be a little more patient in my listening habits.
So, at what point in your life did you realize this is what I want to do in life? The radio part. I guess it was around your acting career. You said
it was. Radio was something I was always interested in, and
even as a kid.
When I was at NORCAM.
I was at NORCAM.
Well, we had a radio club.
Oh, really?
So we would take over the PA system.
Oh, how cool!
And people would, play their favorite.
I don't think we had that when I was in school.
You missed out, apparently.
Damn.
Yeah. So I think that. So that was, and we had a principal at the time who was kind of a little bit of a radio nerd himself, so he supported our that endeavor.
Cool.
So it was that. So I always knew that there would be probably some point where I kind of came back to what I'd explored and enjoyed so much as a high school student.
That's very neat.
And it was also a little edgy. It was a little anarchic. In that, I remember being saddled with the decision of whether or not to play that Joni Mitchell song on For the Roses that had the F-bomb in it.
In high school, yeah, I bet.
And I programmed it. And that song was there, and I remember the tension of kind of riding the volume button. So, am I going to turn it down when she says that, or am I going to let it play?
And did you?
And I turned it up. I said, I'm going to let it.
Yeah.
And nobody cared. And here I was. I thought that there was going to be a riot.
Because it's NORCAM.
Today there would be a riot, I think. Today.
I think you're right. I think there might be.
Some parent somewhere would have a little.
Yeah. Do you know what your son was playing? But at that time, I thought, God, I'm so edgy.
Got to have those moments.
You do.
Do you have any tips on, say, because I find myself it's very hard to find new music without just slogging through a lot of stuff that just doesn't connect with you. Yeah. Is there do you think there's a quick way to, how do you find new music in today, the modern era?
This is going to sound like an advertisement for Bandcamp, but I find that there are certain platforms, certain sites that are better than others. And Bandcamp, I find enormously instructive.
Bandcamp, and then there's local artists on Bandcamp.
Yeah,
well, the thing about Bandcamp, I know a lot of musicians have major issues with all of the platforms, Bandcamp included. But the interesting thing is that you can strike up a dialogue with the musician. I've as stage manager here, I've actually reached out to Seal, to Den Mother, to these different musicians across the country, and said, thought you might like to know we're playing out in the desert. We really like you, and that means a lot to those people who are fighting to not only sell a CD, but just to be heard. In the first place, just to be heard.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to make any money on a CD. That's the record company is going to make that. You make some money maybe touring, but these musicians want to be heard.
Yeah.
And just like, did it reach you? Did it touch you?
Yeah.
And so that's a wonderful opportunity that Bandcamp presents, and the fact that it's so well curated. You'll find other people through your favorites and say, "Oh, I hadn't heard sounds like this person." Or
Right.
So that's a different way
Yeah.
of listening that we didn't have that tool
Yeah.
when I first started listening to music. We just ask our friends.
Yeah, exactly.
The way I find music, I always just like Quentin Tarantino always had good taste.
Soundtracks, yeah.
And that's kind of what started that snowball, and I got into like older, 60s, 70s.
Well, I think that's
Old music.
still happening.
Yeah.
You think we're in this new, what I consider to be a new golden age of television, because again, there's so many choices, so many options, and a lot of the music programming, a lot of the music curation that's being done is extraordinary. You just go through the soundtrack for something like Breaking Bad or something, and the music on there is extraordinary. And there's a team of people that do nothing but pick, pick the music for this episode or that episode.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are discovering music they wouldn't have listened to at all through these films and TV programs, which is an exciting new way to kind of find new music.
I remember being really mad, and I'm on Google like at midnight. I'm like, "What was that song at that movie? What was the name of that movie?" And then I'm like, "Ah!" And
But even that's being taken care of us with Shazam.
Shazam, yeah.
Shazam,
As long as you
yeah,
can hum
that's-
it.
What is
Yeah.
that? What is? Oh, I'll just point my phone at it.
Yeah.
It will tell me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is just so much to choose from. It's a little overwhelming.
What do you think? What do you think about AI music creation?
That scares me. I think and it's probably strange coming from someone who was electronica and synthesizer music when I was a kid. I just loved it. Like I thought, this is so exciting. Like I'd listen to Wendy Carlos or Tomita, and that stuff to me was like really exciting and novel.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing that a lot of those, the Debussy that Tomita was reinventing was, he'd made it. It was done through this process of synthesis through these, this electronic, machine that he was using, and that how different is that than what a musician might create, using AI? I don't know. I think it's really early to know whether this is an evil thing.
It's evil.
Yeah.
It is.
It is?
For filmmaking, it's scary.
I mean, for anything, but I mean, I'm surprised by. I don't know if you've looked at like what can be done with music generation AI at this point. It's terrifying. Like you put in a prompt and you've got yourself a 3-minute song with lyrics in about 2 minutes, and it sounds amazing.
I see that being done in literature as well. Write a play in the style of Chekhov. That can only the technology can only get better, and that to me is terrifying.
And the more you enter into it, the more keywords you enter in it. Yeah, it's gonna just evolve.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that and holographic performances of
That's an interesting one too.
Tupac,
Yeah.
Right now, as we speak, they were partners at one point, but Laurie Anderson is working like stink to create a Lou Reed concert, a Lou Reed holographic concert. And I thought, why, Laurie? But in some ways with her, because of her sensibility, it makes a kind of sense, because she's always been about technology and big projections and slides and technology working with the music,
And you could potentially see that as its own sort of artistic endeavor as a whole, rather than just sort of the money grab of putting up, here's the hologram of this particular person. It's always tricky though, I think, when the person is no longer capable of giving their consent to it either.
That's what I.
And where does the money go?
Yeah, who's going to benefit from this? That I have a real problem with.
Yeah.
people that cannot defend themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, who can't benefit in any way, shape, or form for what the great achievements, they
Yeah.
they had before they passed.
Yeah.
Now people are just taking what they created and retooling it.
Yeah. It reminds me of, maybe a decade ago or so when you started seeing they would be popping like Humphrey Bogart into TV commercials for vacuum cleaners or whatever. And it's that same kind of like, how much control do you have over you when you're not around anymore?
Yeah.
Like it almost feels like people shouldn't be. It's such a weird situation.
Well, it started that with an image of a person, an actor, a personality, that there were debates over, how, is that right? That this person makes his living pretending to be Humphrey Bogart or
Right.
Elvis. But that's really kind of the early days.
I guess that's true. Yeah. I guess we've gotten off track. Back to radio.
So what is a shift like here? Say it's your first day working here at this radio station.
Well,
What is it like?
It starts.
Scary?
It can be scary. Like I remember the first time I went into the studio to do a live program, and you're looking at all the knobs and the sliders, and you think, well, there's so much that can go wrong. So I felt I had to learn how to just calm myself in that instance and just allow those little mistakes to happen and to learn
That's
from
what we do.
them. Yeah. But I think the day starts early here, and we have overnight programming that goes on. That then it changes. Then human beings come in and take
As
over.
opposed to what?
Well, we have like
No robots.
Oh, the
the
robots.
yeah, but it's just human beings that have been recorded and are playing overnight, and then I think I would agree with Steve in that it's the live experience. It's the live radio DJ, radio personality that makes the work so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the earliest show that you have, like if somebody wants to tune in to the earliest live broadcast on the station? When does that time start?
It goes on through the night.
Yeah.
And then usually we have people tuning in as early as 6, 7 o'clock to hear the earlier shows, and then the people that come on live usually emerge about 9 or 10. We have some early risers that like to do their shows, and you can really. There's a real difference in just the
Morning
vibe.
to night.
The vibe. Morning to night.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sort of people who get up to play music in the morning, they're playing different songs than the ones who are pumping out music at 10 p.m.
Yeah, and the programming changes. I don't know if it darkens, but it really changes after dinner.
Right.
Yeah, Steve can tell you.
As you digest your meal, things change.
Yeah, and you think, oh yeah, I guess I can listen to that now. Yeah, scare me with this. Yeah. So it's really wonderful to feel the programming day kind of evolve and change because it does. Yeah.
How much training goes on for somebody before they're allowed to sort of sit and launch a program?
What a person has a control of their own show sooner than you might think. That Steve provides really good orientation and training. He'll take people through, get people, they get a sense of how the library works and also the culture of the station. The fact that if somebody walks in and wants to play, Ariana Grande, song, that's not going to happen here. So that's a learning point for a lot of the programmers that come in and say, oh well.
Because it's too mainstream?
It's too mainstream because one of our old mottos was none of the hits all of the time. So our job is to serve the local emerging artists and the artists that are just need to be heard across the country and first in town and then across the country.
Yeah.
And from communities across the cultural landscape. So we're looking for
Different.
Different. We're looking
Yeah.
for
Niche.
odd. We're looking
Yeah.
for novel, and everyone always trying to looking to the community to see how are we doing. Like, do you hear yourself on the radio? Do you feel yourself being are you represented
yeah.
anywhere here in our in our broadcasting? So it's always checking ourselves to see who isn't being served.
I was just gonna compare what you guys do versus what the Paramount. Is it called the Paramount Theater still? Oh, I thought it was called something else. But the Paramount Theater also gives the small guys a chance too. They play local films and small film festivals and stuff. So it's not always the big mainstream blockbuster films, and it's nice that you guys do the same thing just with radio.
Well, I think Radhika and her team have done such a wonderful job at opening up the possibilities. So, growing up here in Kamloops, the Paramount was the only game in town. There was a single theater. You go and see Mary Poppins or The Jungle Book. But the idea of seeing a film about a queer kid growing up in East Vancouver, and a love story to boot, that would have been unheard of at my time. But now that's part of the
Mainstream.
the mainstream,
Yeah.
part of the palette, part of their programming, mandate. So, and I think it's wonderful. Like, I've seen things there that I would expect to have to go to a major center to see. So, and that's really exciting. Just the range of film types that you can see there.
Yeah.
So, records.
Yeah,
You guys have quite the archive.
we do.
How many records do you have?
That's a Steve question. How many records do we have, Steve? How much music do we have downstairs?
It's about 40,000 physical albums.
Wow. 40,000 physical albums.
Yeah.
That's it, eh?
That's it.
And with albums coming in all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
And I guess presumably with some albums going out, are these from your
Yeah.
archives or?
Well, this is something like this would the moms and dads probably wouldn't be downstairs.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean that album exactly.
No,
but
but I'm saying that there's stuff that we have to kind of weed out, and there are things going onto the playlist and coming off the playlist all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So it has to, we try to keep it as current as possible, and so there's a whole range of music types and available.
yeah. So is there a lot of?
Oh, it's just a basic. Wanted to know how to properly care for your record collection. Is there a special way to store them?
Well, case in point, we're upstairs where all of our equipment is. We try to keep, and it makes for sometimes a hot studio. We try and keep the windows shut, so moisture and mildew, mold can be a problem. So we have to keep on top of that, because when you're storing them, records, if they haven't been played for 10 years, 5-10 years,
Right.
they need care. They need to be cleaned and such. So we have people here who are very diligent about that, and always looking for more people to take care of that precious collection.
And how is that handled? Like, is there like a routine or a rotation of going through the collection, or is it more that they get touched up and cleaned when someone's bringing them out to air them? Or
Well, there are a few of off-air volunteers that will attend to things like that are are drawn to those kinds of tasks that take care of the collection. Steve is very diligent about making sure that we're all of the programmers are treating the CDs and the records with respect, and so it's a lot of how they're handled day to day is important, but also how they're maintained. An LP or a CD that hasn't been played for 5 years needs special care. So we try to attend to that.
right. And then when people are planning their shows, do you find that they spend a lot of time Like, do they do their research independently, or do they hang out in the basement and go through these old records looking for, songs they maybe haven't heard before from bands they've never heard before?
That's a really good question. That's part of the learning process as a programmer. Is you think it's going to be an easier process than it turns out to be. Like, well, I'll just go down there and pick some things that seem to kind of live together. But research, a lot of the programmers find that research is key to their programming success. And the listeners are actually they want a bit more than just the sound of the music. They want to learn a bit about the artist that's being played. So a lot of programmers learn that learning more about the music, learning more about the artist is part of the programming game. And also they start to, as they get better at it, start to program and plan programs thematically. Like say, Steve's great at that. Say, well, let's do it's spring. Let's devote a show to spring. Let's devote a show to Kamloops Kamloops musicians exclusively. How about songs about snow? So it can be any prompts, but just having a theme, a kind of a unifying theme, can often improve your show immeasurably.
I've seen that, or I've heard that with anniversaries of deaths of musicians, like Elvis Day or whatever.
Well, just Steve Albini passed away just the other day. So Steve devoted an entire show, or maybe a few shows, to his legacy. And so it could be something like the death of a musician or a producer that you admired, or it could be a life event. Well, we try not to get too involved personally in what we're programming, but you can't help but be affected by what's happened to you in your day-to-day life. So sometimes it
can seep in almost subtly, probably.
Yeah. So like, it's a show about death. Of course it is.
P. Diddy got arrested. Let's play a bunch of his music.
Or maybe we'll just ignore those for a while.
Yeah.
Well, let's play his arch nemesis' music instead.
Yeah.
Were there any particular, challenges or surprises waiting for you when you took on the station manager job versus just being, a program host or a volunteer?
Well, I think there were personal challenges in that by nature I'm an introvert. So, and when I came on board, I said, I really think this job is about going out and meeting the different community groups, meeting people in the arts committee or this, and so that was something I had to learn. I had to allow myself to do it. Say, you can do this. So it was initially hard to get out there and meet strangers, but
I hear that.
The more I did it, I wouldn't say the easier it got, but the more I realized that it was an important part of the job.
Right.
That
Totally,
we're
community.
It's community. Community radio. Hey, Weddle, it's about your community, right? And you have to meet some of them to know what makes them tick, right? So that was, and also I think I tried to bring some of my strengths, some of my background into the work. So it's not having by accident that we're doing we're working in partnership with True Theatre in the fall, turning radio documentary material into theatre. So
very cool.
Yeah, so because I'm passionate about play development and new works in particular, and because theaters across the country are not developing new pieces or listening to writers as much as they should, I thought, well, that's something we can do through radio. Because there was a time in this country where some of the best radio drama in the world was done here in Canada.
Really?
So I think there could, who knows, there might be a new golden age.
Is there anything in regards to that particular cooperative thing that you can talk about right now? Like any plans for anything?
Well,
Because it sounds exciting.
It does take money.
Yeah.
To move these projects forward. We had to. There's grant writing that had to happen that would either succeed or not succeed. That would give us the funds we needed to hire a project coordinator to give a little bit of money to this writer or that artist. So that stuff, that's part of the work of the job is appealing to
Right, of course.
the funding bodies for help in this work. So we've been successful. We're hoping to be successful again and kind of build on the relationships that we have created with Storied Voices, which was this year's big project, which is really an attempt to capture voices in the community that are underserved and diverse voices, and then turn those into some kind of theatrical collage. So that's ambitious, but again, it's something that our volunteers here are really passionate about. Steve and others often mention that the really important work, the vital work that happens here happens at, believe it or not, the committee level. If you get people say, okay, the Storied Voices Committee meets every week, that the ideas sharing and the growth in volunteer growth that comes of those that committee work is extraordinary. And one of the great joys, or surprising joys, of working here, because I just thought committees were about Robert's Rules of Order and meetings, and terminal meetings.
Yeah, nothing ever happens.
This has been really it's been a creative process. So it's not true across the board. Of course, there'll still be meetings that don't go anywhere. But I think more often than not, the volunteers are really fed, are jazzed by the project work, the committee work. So that's a volunteer benefit that many volunteers weren't expecting.
Right.
I didn't think I was going to be learning about journalism. I didn't think I was going to be interviewing someone about horse therapy. And here I am in the field interviewing a horse. And a rider.
The horse says the horse can talk.
Well, apparently, you'd have to ask her. One of our you'd have to ask Vince Allman, but he swears that the horse likes to be scratched on the ass, and also the horse tends to.
We all do.
I think so, but the horse talks.
Are there any other sort of hopes or things planned for the future that you want to share maybe? Or
I think I would like more people to know that we exist.
Yeah.
I'd like more people, and really more importantly, I'd like more people to know what we can do for them.
Yeah.
Because we're providing a service here. So branding and all those kind of things that we don't like to talk about, that are so important to a group's identity. We're trying to get better at that and explore more creative ways of letting the community know that we're here and that we can provide all kinds of them with all kinds of help. getting their message out, or
Right.
telling people about this play or that art show.
Yeah.
I guess that's worth mentioning too. That if somebody has an art show or an event coming up, can they promote it on the station
without
here?
question, that we're trying to build those relationships with the Kamloops Art Gallery, with the different theater companies, with the different arts groups that exist, and also with the community groups that I'm giving a talk at Probus, which is an adult learning group next week, and so those kinds of meetings of
Yeah.
the intellectual sharing that's vital too.
Yeah.
And that's something we can provide. We can also provide the arena for that, those kinds of conversations.
Is there a website or a Facebook page with your?
Yeah, the X.ca that we
Yeah.
have
Oh, yeah.
You can listen to the station on that website.
Oh, that's it.
Okay.
There are also stories that are related to stories that we've told here on air, or that interviews sometimes, that little vignettes that are there on the website as well.
Cool.
You can learn more about the people that work here, volunteer here, and also about the people that we're covering, or the bands that we're celebrating at the FE this week.
Oh, who are you celebrating this week?
This week, well, there's all kinds of things happening there, but we most recently, I think, I'm going to write a little piece about Jeremy Dutcher and the KSO, because I thought that artistic marriage was quite extraordinary. I hadn't heard the KSO sound so good and so together and so in sync with the the performer. So things like that, we want to celebrate that. We want to. It was just the you were involved with this, the Hydra Festival. So we went and we covered the first and the last evenings of that event, and
cool.
And took back a little bit of information about. Did you know there's a play called The Magic Spatula, and it's going to be in the Fringe, and it's going to go here, and so those things are important. I think.
Yeah, totally.
You're like the glue in Kamloops. You're gluing all these communities together and networking.
Kind of getting different groups to talk as well. I was at a meeting last week where WCT held an open forum, said all theater groups, actors, writers, come and talk. So. And that hasn't happened at WCT for a long, long time.
Yeah, that sounded like it would be interesting.
I would go.
And there were people, there were representatives from, I think, every theater company but one that were there in the room talking with WCT about what how we can help one another. So I thought that was a great thing. And those kinds of meetings, those kinds of you're talking about the glue, like pulling people together. That to me is a really important part of the work that we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's so much division in life,
division,
in the world,
professional jealousy, and
we don't need that.
Well, at 65, I'm beginning to learn how petty that is. I'm finally, at this late stage, kind of realizing that it doesn't help me not to support this young writer.
Oh, exactly.
Or that theater group. Regardless, I don't have to love it, but it's important to support it.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to love everything that you go to see. But
No.
But it's so important to get out there and share your enthusiasm.
And artists appreciate people like you.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
I think and artists need to be felt and need to feel that they've given someone a feeling. They've had some kind of impact.
Yeah.
Because it can be really lonely work without any kind of.
Artists are hard on themselves too.
They're desperately hard on themselves.
Yeah.
Because we got to slink into the corner.
We're in our final few minutes here, so if somebody wants to get a hold of the station to either maybe volunteer, let you know about something they've got going on, what's the best way to do that? Is there a phone number, Facebook page?
Well, the best way is you can call us at the station or come to the door. Just our day is not so regimented that we can't say, do you want to see the record library? We can take you up to the studio. Do you want to do a PSA for us? We're hoping that more people will be brave enough to just walk in the door. We also try to recruit other volunteers. We go out into the community, Canada Day, Cami Overlander Days. We have tables at different sites on campus all the time saying, come, it's really, radio is fun, come and join us. And that is, where our numbers are slowly growing, and we're getting really, really fascinating, dynamic people coming in the door with all kinds of ideas about radio. So
yeah. And
exciting.
you're one of the fascinating people.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
It's fun. I find it's really an energizing place to be.
I could see you are energized.
Yeah. That's great.
It's infectious. I like it.
That's great.
Awesome.
Hi, Grandma.
Yeah, do you want to say goodbye to anyone before we go? I think I'm just going to check the timer on this.
If you have a dog or a cat, anyone.
We got 30 seconds left, so
Hi, Lona. Hi, Louie. And our 4 cats.
Oh, meow, meow, meow.
This is great.
Now we're just going to awkwardly wait out the final 20 seconds.
I'm gonna not blink for the rest of the stream.
That'll be my next question.
Did I blink? What?
Not that I saw. Did you have a question?
Where is this stream?
So it's streamed live on YouTube, and then the recorded version of the stream will stay there, and then it will end up delivered to TELUS to be put on their Optic TV platform, which is sort of like their streaming platform. It's their version of Netflix.
Oh, that's cool.
No, it's still recording because I had to wait for the 20 seconds to go down. We can't stop until it's been an hour.
Oh wow!
So it really it's a live feed.
It's live. Yeah, we're literally live broadcast on YouTube right now.
That's very cool.
Yep.
And you only said one.